A gracious hello to everybody out there in Sprueverse land. People of Earth, welcome to a brand new build on my channel, Sprueverse, the scale model universe. I'm so grateful to have you with me. We are going to have some fun today with an old NPC kit. This is the Shuttle Tydirium from Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Jedi. Lots of stories there. But we're not here to discuss the title. We're here to build a model, and that's what we're going to do. Very cool. So I wanted this kit ever since I saw a couple of its build-ups at Wonderfest about 3 years ago. Went walking the halls, couldn't find it. No one had it. So I started checking out on eBay. I couldn't find it on eBay for a while. And then all of a sudden one popped up, then two popped up, then three popped up. The next thing you know, I've got more shuttles than I knew what to do with. I guess it's seasonal. I don't know. But I ordered mine, and I didn't realize sometimes I don't pay attention to where I'm buying things from. You need to do that. Because this came from Hong Kong. And didn't look very good when it arrived. I mean, look, I've got the box top on the here, and I've done nothing. This is how it arrived. You got to see this. It's pretty funny. You see all this? Look at the crush. Look at the crushing. It's crushed. It's pretty bad, right? It had collapsed. I mean, it wasn't a great, it wasn't a great packing job to begin with. Very cool picture on the front here, though. This is this is what we're building. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. The Tydirium shuttle. Hey, they say a display stand is included. So let me show you what their idea of a display stand is. There it is. That's your display stand. Now, you do get a rod with it. Here's your rod. It's an extruded piece of, it looks like a churros, a plastic churros. Now, of course, it doesn't fit, but that's your base. Don't panic. We're not using it. We're going to get something else. I may actually even reach out to Keith over at Cosmic Scale Models and see if he'll send me one of his bases. He's got beautiful bases. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I dumped it all on the desktop here. I apologize. I have not. I didn't do an opening. I took the plastic off. It was still in its plastic. Here's the bottom of the box. In case you're worried you missed anything. Look at this. It just completely collapsed on me. And why this box had to be so large in the first place doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, anyway, this is going to be a fun kit. It's a really cool kit. It's going to be in the white, in what I use the insignia whites, and we'll age it down and we'll make it look appropriately cool, because this is the dystopian world of Star Wars, not the utopian world of Star Trek. All right, don't roll your eyes. I'm just having fun. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm cleaning this puppy up. And, of course, I greatly appreciate the fact that they burn the sprue trees into the wings. Heavens forbid they should, protect your model for you by not doing that. But, fortunately, we have the technology to take these off of here without damaging anything. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go around. I mean, because 80% of this model is wings, right? So I'm taking off the I trim up to it, and then I remove the rest of it with my little knife here, which scores it beautifully. And just like that, it is popped off. Nothing is chipped, nothing is cracked. We're all in great shape. Everybody's happy. Now, you know, I'm looking around here and I don't see any super issues. We'll do a dry fit first, obviously, before we finish everything. I'm gonna just keep trimming here. I don't know why I find it so satisfying to clean up spros. Do you guys like to do this? I love to do it. I don't know why. It's like a Zen thing. I get into a Zen mode, and then I can't stop, right? So I thought to myself, well, if I have to sit here and clean these all up, so do you. No, I'm just... it's all right. It's all good. I just, you know, once you start the construction mode of this, there's not a lot going on. Now, we do have to discuss the L word, lighting. I think we have to light this. I really do. I really, really do. I think that it demands it. But what I can't do, because my conscience won't let me, is... well, you know, these little models. There is a baby Darth Vader. Here he is. Here he is. He actually looks like, you know, he's standing behind something. I don't know. Maybe we could clean him up. And then you've got a couple of the... Oops. Sorry about that. You've got Darth, and then you've got a couple of his pilots. And I think if we were to do a little work on them and clean them up, maybe we can put them in there. But I don't know. I think the best thing to do is to black out this window and make it look really cool. Otherwise, this clear part over here, I'm afraid will make it look too much like a toy, and I don't think we need to do that. So I'm gonna smoke mine out, and we're not going to be able to see in. I think that way it's a little more mysterious. I had a weird kind of thing going on with the main body. It's over here. I've started puttying it. I've got one round to go because it just sunk in. But this is how it arrived. Weird, right? It's like it was coming out of the oven, and before it was fully baked, I don't know whether it hit something, got yanked. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I've puttied it, round one, and I'm trying to use the Vallejo plastic putty. It's okay. I like the fact that it's white, so that's a good thing. But it shrinks, so it's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little Mr. Surfacer on him. It doesn't need to be that thick, but I think this is probably a better way to go. Is just a little Mr. Surfacer. I like using this stuff. It works really well, especially on stuff like this. Just gives you that nice surface. You know, it has to dry, obviously, but I do like it. And you can use just a regular brush, and then you can clean that brush up with. Don't want to use that brush. That wouldn't be good. Yeah. But dries nice and hard. And then you can just sand it down. So I put it on like a putty. It has shrinkage too. But that's okay. So when you put it on, it kind of looks like that. I don't want to go too crazy with it because I got to sand it down, but it I have good results with it, so I use it. I see a lot of guys who build aircraft doing this at all. Their seams seem to be a lot more forgiving than the seams on our kits. I don't know. I think somebody in the in the department responsible for making spaceships says, yeah, you know what, they don't care. Don't worry about it. But in the aircraft, not so much. Let's get those seams tight, boys. Oh, dear. I don't know. But don't you find that? I found that. I don't build a lot of aircraft, so I really don't know what I'm talking about. But definitely certainly seems that way. Okay, very good. So we'll let that dry. All right, I'm gonna keep on cleaning it all up. I'll get everything off the sprues because I don't need anything on the sprues. It's not a complicated model to put together. So I'll continue to do that. We'll come back. When we come back, we'll look at dry fitting, priming. We'll prime this baby, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do to light it, and figure out our base situation. Thrilled you're with me. Thanks for coming along. Let's carry on here. Well, I thought I was going to be clever and get a coat of primer and everything, and then I put the brakes on. Because as I mature in my building skills, I do stop and think. And when I stop and think, it's frightening, but it happens. You know, the walls rattle, things shake. It's not pleasant, but I stop and I think. And as I was looking at the various different parts and I was cleaning things up, I came across the guns. And I thought to myself, this looks a little wonky. Classically, the gun barrel doesn't exist. Now, if it's a laser gun, I suppose you could argue that it doesn't need a barrel, that it's generated by some other energy form. But I like gun barrels, especially in this dystopian world. It feels like gun barrels make a lot of sense to me. So I started looking at these, and while these may look okay, they're not great. They're just not great. So what I want to do is I want to remove these gun barrels, and I want to add a little brass to them, and that's what I've done. And I think the result is really quite good. So what I'm doing here is I'm snipping off this gun barrel just at this point, like that. Because I took the one I took off before, because I've done 2 of these already, and I'm happy with the result. But the one that I'd taken off before was actually quite warped, and you know, it looked like a real nightmare to clean it up. So all I'm doing is I'm gonna just take this. I'm taking this stub down quite a bit, so that I can get my little brass rod over it. And once I can get my little brass rod over it, then I can drop the sleeve on and then drop the barrel inside that sleeve. And I think you get a much nicer nicer result. So that's what I'm working on here. And what I'm discovering is that sometimes with these older kits, now this is the MPC kit, which is Ertel, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that correctly. And these have been repopped a bunch of times. I think Revell Germany is popping this now, if I'm not mistaken. But there's an awful lot of cleanup that you have to do, which is fine. I enjoy cleanup. When I don't enjoy cleanup is when I've missed it and I've done something else and I have to go back because I realize that my cleanup didn't involve the part that I should have cleaned up. And did that make any did that make any sense at all to you? What I'm trying to say in my tragic way is that sometimes I miss something, and so even if you've put a coat of primer on it, you realize that you've got to go back and start again. The old me wouldn't have started again. The new me does, because that's where I am in my model making, is I want things to be right. So I've got these little, I'm doing this on camera again, which is, you would think I would have learned my lesson, but I haven't. And it's fun to do this with you guys. So I just checked my sleeve. Okay. It goes on pretty good. There's my sleeve. And then I have a barrel that I've pre-made all of these so that you didn't have to sit here watching me cut and grind, which I know some of you would have said you were okay with that, but others would have tuned out already. Okay, so this one needs just a little bit of, I'm dealing with, one of the things I'm dealing with, interestingly enough, is how to cut brass tubing on a small scale. Now I know, and I don't, if you can believe it, I'm asking for trouble with that. I know that these cut beautifully, but I don't have the small blades. I've got one small blade, which I've broken. I keep it because one side is perfect. But I'm having a difficult time. I could put this back in my saw, but I don't want to break the other side. So I've ordered some blades, but they're not here, so I went ahead and did it without it. And that's okay. The net result, of course, is that I'm a little short on things to cut small. Oh, that's better. That slid on beautifully. Okay. Here's my barrel. Let me just make sure that I've got that cleaned up. Okay. That looks pretty good. And I just get my extra thin. Oh, of course it jams. Of course it jams. Okay. Okay. Nobody panic. Let me just wipe that off. There we go. And I keep, for these exact occasions, I keep on my bench a little jar with some acetone in it. And I put my, let's see here, if I can get this off of here, which I can. They don't last very long, maybe a few days, and then you've got to swap them out. So that's why you order 50,000 of these things, right? Okay. So what I'm supposed to be able to do, and I have been able to do, is, okay, let me clean this up a little bit. So I don't want to bend anything, but I want to make it flatter. There we go. That's better. That's better. Okay, so that is going to require something a little thicker than the thin. So what I'm going to do is bring over... Oh, sorry, there's the bald head. You get to see the bald head. Every time I go to get my hair cut now, I ask them to break the news to me gently. Just break the news to me gently, I say. They go, no, you're okay. You're okay. It's all right. They say, everything is fine. You've still got hair back there. And I go, yeah, but how much? And they don't really want to discuss that. All right, I've gone out here just for a second. What I'm going to do is get myself a little toothpick. Yeah, as I was saying about this zap, I've noticed that the consistency of it and what it is, it's curious to me because I don't know the people who make zap glue. I don't know. I did reach out to them once to ask them about their flex version, but I never got a response. But I know there are some guys who get all their zap glue sent to them. That's not me, guys. That's not me. Okay. So here we go. Here we go. So I've used the medium viscosity because this one wasn't sitting nicely. And there we go. So what I got to do is just hold that up straight and make sure that that's nice and straight, which it is. And there we go. 3 down, 1 to go. So I've got these wonderful brass barrels now, and as I go to install my barrels, because I've got some things I have to think about, but like I said before, I started going crazy on primer and all the other nonsense. I wanted to make sure that I was progressing correctly, you know. Because you've got this goofy locking system, which is supposed to allow your wings to go up or be displayed in that direction. So I have to make a decision as to whether or not I'm going to lock them in one position and leave them like that, or have them so that they can be moved. Don't know. I'll look at that in just a second. And then, in terms of lighting, there's lights. There's these little nav lights in the wing, right about there at the top. Let me put this together correctly. Right in there, there's a nav light, and you could have it flashing, but I'm not going to. And then there is what appears to be some light coming from here. I'm going to assume it's these three points here, and I'm thinking about, you know, should they flash, or should these lights flash? Are these lights here? I don't think so. I think those are pins for my wings. So I've got to think about that, because if I'm going to light this, it's going to be for sure with the Pico chips, and with the very thin magnet wire, the Evans Design lights. They are the right scale for this. So if I'm going to do that, it's not just about getting the lights inside. It's about, okay, what is the display stand, and how does the wire get down to the battery, and all the other nonsense. So lots to think about. On the other hand, as a static model, this should look pretty cool. We shall see. Don't know. I don't know. It will tell us what it wants to do as we progress. Right now, I'm not quite there yet. I'm going to finish my next barrel, and get that completed, and then look at some of this sub-assembly one more time, because I have also made an executive decision. I'm not going to build the cockpit. I'm going to black this out with some smoke on the clear plastic. I already have an issue because in classic fashion, the clear piece had as it was attached to the tree, even though you cut it, you've got that damage that you've got to deal with on the side of the canopy. I can clean it up quite a bit, but not as much as I'd like to. So I just think it looks less of a toy if this cockpit is smoked out, as it is, by the way, in the film. So, okay, lots going on here. I'm almost finished with all my cleanup. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm quite well organized, actually. I'm actually happy with where I am. So that's good. So I'm going to finish this barrel, and then we'll see where we are. I'm back just for a second because I'm starting to realize how bad the fit is on this kit. And it's okay, we're getting there, but in looking at it, it's a bit of a mess. Or as my late grandfather used to say, a dog's breakfast. But we're getting there. So it's interesting. If you followed my build on the 1350 refit, you'll know how I feel about locator pins. And the same is true here. So what I've been doing is realizing that this piece, which is the cockpit piece, now we don't really need it in here. I didn't really have to put it in, but I thought for support and rigidity I would. But the plastic here, it doesn't sit nicely in this little cubicle. So the net result is that I've been grinding a little bit of plastic away on both sides, so that when you lay it down, you've got less seam to have to deal with, and you shouldn't have to force it. So on here, I'm just applying a little bit of pressure, not too much, but you shouldn't have to force it. Now that's a lot better than it was. Before I decided to turn the camera on and show you, I couldn't do that at all. It was just ridiculous. I mean, it made no sense to force it. And if you do have to force it, something is wrong, right? So I've been grinding away. Now I look pretty decent here. I've got this locator pin here, which I think I'm going to get rid of. There's one here, and there's one there. I'm going to get rid of those, and I think that will also let it settle down just a little bit. But I thought it was worth checking in here just to look at this, because we all go through it, right? I'm okay there, and I'm actually okay. I've got a little bit of cleanup to do here on that seam, but I think that's going to be okay. So I should be able to get. I'm still putting a little bit of too much pressure on this, but that might be just a little bit of warpage in the plastic, so I'm not too worried about it. I can put some tape on that just to sort of hold it down. Because I'll use capillary action from my MEK to bond that, because on this particular styrene, it's just melting it together like nobody's business, and that's a good thing. Okay, so I'm gonna glue these parts together, and then I'm going to give this a coat of primer, because I discovered that this rear piece here, not that rear piece, Phil. This rear piece, which has some locator pins on it as well, that I need to get rid of, but it sits in here like this, and it's no issue to slide it in there. That's what you're supposed to do. But what I realized was that I've got, it's a cowling, and so all that has to be painted before I can assemble that. And of course I've got all this lovely detail on top of here that I want to attend to before I can't reach it anymore. So this should get a coat of primer, preferably black, and then we'll go back to whites, and then we'll detail this out, and that'll be a separate piece that we'll slide in here. So that's what I'm working on. Wanted to cut in for you to see that, so that I just don't go, look what I've done. Aren't I clever? It's fun, you know. This is part of model making that I like, especially because I can put it on a bench in front of me, and it's just styrene, and so I can work with styrene. It's when it's all resin that it just all starts to become a little pear-shaped. Yeah, I've got a little more grinding I want to do in here, I think. Being careful, of course, because I'm extremely capable of taking off too much plastic. I do it really well, and no fun to try and fix that. Although with these incredible light curing putties we've got today, it's less intimidating than it used to be. There we go. That goes together like a charm now. Okay, so that can get glued up, and that will also need a nose. I've got the nose. I can see the nose, where the nose goes, and I can glue that nose on, and that'll take care of this sub-assembly. It doesn't want me to do anything else just yet, so that's good. And then that will also allow me to think about, there's no light. There's no light in the front here. There is light in this. The whole engine in the back is just one strip of white energy. If I want to go ahead and light this, I have to take care of that. But these sub-assemblies are once I've got these done and I can start puttying this and get this seam taken care of, that'll be a good thing. Okay. Newsflash. I'm going to light it. Nothing complicated, but I'm going to light it for a couple of reasons. One is it will really make a huge difference to this model in terms of its presentation, I think. Second of all, I think that because of where I am in my hobbying kind of lifespan, as it were, I feel like I need to push myself. I feel like sometimes I want to take the easy way out. Now, I've not built nearly as many models as, say, the great Lou Dalmaso. So, you know, these things don't come second nature to me sometimes. And sometimes my gut reaction can be to go, oh, I can't be bothered. And that's not good. That's not good, because if you're saying I can't be bothered, you're really saying that you're burning out, and that really isn't good. So you need to think about that. I need to think about that and make sure that that's not the case, because if it's the case, you need to give yourself a break, because I love this hobby too much. Okay. So we're going to light it. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to put. I'm going to have the rear engines here glowing, and I'm going to do a blue, and that's going to be a diffused warm blue. And so in order to do that, this has to come out. So I'm going to cut these out, and then I've got some diffusion that will go behind it, and then I'm going to use some 8050 blue SMDs. For each engine, and so that will take care of that. For the wings, I've got a little nav light, but I'm using a warm white on each tip. So I've got a tip on each wing, So each wing has a tip, and then the front of the main dorsal fin has a light at the very, and they're all at the very top. I'm putting them at the top, so they create a triangle. Now, one of the challenges with this kit is that if you're going to choose to use the which I don't think I am, but the way this works is you've got this rotating wing armature here, and it allows you to either display it in this position or in this position. Now, the problem with that is that over time, this sucker, you know, I mean, you can have it any way you want, but it's not going to stay in that position. I don't think. I think we need to lock it in a position. Now, for display purposes, if you have real estate issues like I do, I have serious real estate issues, then you may want to consider this, you know, this position, right? This position. If you don't have real estate issues, you might want to consider it in this position, which is flight, but for landing, it goes in this. I think I'm going to display it in this position. I think so. Only because I have serious real estate issues. And considering what's coming down the pike, I mean, I've got a Helios models 1350 that I'm going to be building. That baby is serious. And so when Mrs. Spruverse saw that and asked where it was going, that's the first signal that there is a need for negotiation and calm. Remain calm. So that's what we do. We remain calm. But I think this wants to be displayed in this position for me, which means that when I run my wires, I can just drop them through into this cavity here. So they'll come through the wing. The wing's hollow enough, plenty of room for wire. It'll come through, and then it'll drop into the body, and then out down my pole to wherever my power source is going to live. So I think that's the plan. So, not terrible, not complicated, but step one is I got to cut these out, and I'm going to do that with my trusted sonic saber. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that hooked up, fired up, and we'll come back and we'll watch me doing a little bit of that, because once I've cut into this, you know, there's no going back. I can repair it. It's not a problem. I can make it. I can fix it. But I think this is going to just give it so much more oomph if I light it. Okay. There's many ways to do this. You can use a little pin vise, put in some drill holes, and then you can score it with a very sharp number 11 blade. That's how it was done for years. You can use a little drill, power drill, and do the same. As you know, when you're working with plastic, anything that heats up is just going to melt the plastic. But I'm using my frozen sonic saber. I just love it. It cuts through styrene like butter. And so what we're doing is you can see, I just made a blanket cut here, just so that I could start to work the lines. The great thing about this is, you know, you don't have to you don't have to get that close to the edge. You can just start chipping away at it now. And I'm not putting any pressure on this knife, none. It's just sliding through here. And it's just slipping down. And it's that simple. And there you have it. So So I'm just going to be very careful. As I get closer, I won't get that close. I'll get close enough to where I can actually use some files. But I mean, the wonderful thing about it is, you know, when you're doing like circles like this, you just come in and it'll turn beautifully like this. It'll make a turn. And you can do that. And you can see that that's nice and crisp, and it's actually cauterized. And the more you learn to the more you learn to do this, the better off you are. So we're going to keep going here, and we'll get these cut out. Stick with me. Quick jump in here as I clean up this one, and then we'll take a look at what we need in terms of diffusion. And you know, this is just one of those things where it's just patience, right? Just patience, and slowly just chew away at something. Don't be in a hurry. Make sure you've got a really nice sharp blade. I'm about ready to change this blade out, because even if you think it's sharp, it's never as sharp as it was when you first opened it. But I don't have to tell you guys that. You guys know that. And you just keep filing away. And when you got it almost to where, like this one, where you're ready to clean it up, or you know, just you've got these little flyaway flecks, I use my extra thin to just brush over them, and just brush over those little hairs, and they'll melt away. So you just keep sanding and smoothing and sanding and smoothing until you get it to where it looks perfect. And once it looks perfect, it will be perfect. But it's just a function of sanding away and making sure that you have it nice and smooth, and then we'll be ready to get some diffusion in here and take a look at how we're going to actually build the light box that's going to light this up. We've got plenty of room for it inside. There's plenty of room. We just have to figure it out. It's interesting. The dystopian world of Star Wars, to me, is much more fun. The ships, in terms of aging them and making them look used and well worn, is fun to me. When it's too perfect, there's not a lot to do, and that to me is not as fun. They're beautiful ships, don't get me wrong. I love the Star Trek world, and but it's definitely, from a building perspective, not as much fun for me personally as when you can age something and distress it. Now, this shuttle has some weathering on it, because obviously it flies into atmosphere. It doesn't stay in space, so it lands and takes off, and so it's going to have a little more wear and tear than it would if it just stayed in space. So I'm going to continue to clean these up. I'm almost finished with I'm almost finished with this. There it is in all its glory. Almost finished with it. And when I am, we'll clean up, and then we'll start looking at how we're going to diffuse it, and then get a coat of primer on this as I have the other pieces, because then they're going to all have to get a black coat so that I can pre-shade with that, and then we'll start working on our whites. I'm going to start with my base coat of my traditional insignia white. My go-to Star Wars spaceship white is what we'll use for that. Okay, I'm going to keep sanding and smoothing and making this look beautiful. and then we'll come back and we'll look at how we're going to diffuse that and finish this back. Well, I've been a busy boy while you've been gone. It's weird, right? From it's the next section, and for you it's instantaneous. For me it could be hours. But sitting at the bench, peace and quiet, listening to a podcast, listening to your favorite music, whatever, listening to TV, your favorite television show, whatever you like to do. Oh my God, tell me it's not the most soothing thing on the planet. I'm telling you. For me, it's either that or my blankie and my pacifier, and I don't have those with me in the shop today. Okay, so what I have done is I have cut out the rear piece. So this is now going to get primed. And I created a little diffusion plate here. Here it is. And this will sit in the rear of this, and I will glue that in with some microcrystal clear. We'll get that to sit nicely. And then this little, I've created a little platform out of some, it's I think it's 1 mil thick styrene, and my 8050 blues, which I have lovingly assembled. Now you can get 3 as the shortest you can get with these. I'm going to run a 12 volt system because I've got other lights, and I know from experience that unless you're pushing 12 volts through here, it's just not enough juice for your SMD strip lighting. So let me just fire this up for you and show you. I've got this really nice blue light. That's going to attach to the back here, and we should get a really nice glow. And if I do this, this is all sort of one-handed, so I apologize while I'm fighting here. But now obviously that has to go back, but they fit nicely. And no, you won't just see 3 dots of light, although at the end of the day that's not really a terrible thing for this, but no, you won't. You should see some nicely soft diffused blue light. If you don't, we failed. Okay, so what I have to do now is get everything primed. I'm ready to prime my little world now. I'm good to go. So I'm happy with everything. Oh, I'll put I think I'll put should I or should I not? No, I won't. I'll just paint it and deal with it. What I was thinking is do I need to protect this so that when I attach my SMD tape to it, but if I use hot glue I should be fine, because it'll be fine. So, and everything needs to get light blocked, obviously. So that's what we're going to do now, folks. We're going to get everything primed, and then once we have everything primed, I think well, no, that's not true. That's not true. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I apologize. That's what happens when the cameras are on. Okay, I need to get my Pico SMD warm white chips, French fries if you're in the States, into the top of my wings, because they're going to be well, that doesn't help you at all, does it? That's really a waste of your time. They're going to be in the tops of these wings. Now, technically, we should have a little gack in here, and I will figure out if I can put some greeblies or something in here that create some pipes and that sort of a thing, or I might just leave it black and I'll put a nice clean black edge in here, and that will look nice too. But the idea is I've got to create a little world up here for my SMD chip, which I'll drill into here, and then I'm going to use a little bit of my Solarez UV curing clear resin to create my little crystals. And then once I've got all that cleaned up and I know that that's where I want it, I'll put my holes in there, and then I'll light block everything, and then we'll come along and install these, because these chips that I have here, which are really quite punchy, here's one, and they're the right scale for this, so that's good. Let me get you up close here, and here they are. It's a lovely punchy little light. Now that's just with 9 volts, so we go up to 12, and that should be fine. And those will sit in the wing, and they'll just add that little bit. Now, what I could also be doing, and probably will be doing, is somewhere in the bottom here, I should have a couple of flashies. So there's definitely a place for them. But I should maybe do 2 reds or 2 greens. I'm not sure. I won't do red-green. I just like the idea. Or I might just do 3 blue flashies right here in the center here, which might be actually a nice way to go. Is right here is 3 blues. I like that. I'm a big fan of the blue light on the sci-fi kits. I think they work really well. Now, of course, you won't see them, depending on how this is displayed. But, yeah, I mean, you know, I think it wants to be on a post. I've got a base on its way from the UK. From Keith. I ordered a base from him. Must admit, I don't love the idea that they're all square. Nothing against, absolutely nothing against Keith. I had to go so far to figure out that my brain was telling me Keith, and then come back. For you, it was minutes. In my head, I was struggling for hours. Keith, they're all square. Now, they're pre-cut acrylic boxes. They're nice, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I wish that some of them were some other shapes, you know, or even laser cut into the shape of something that said Empire versus Rebellion. Don't know. Anyway, you know, we've come so far in the last few years in terms of laser cutting and 3D printing that it is extraordinary. So, we should all be grateful. Okay, so let me do this then. I'm going to find my center at the top here for my lights. And then I'm noticing this weird kind of flashy thing here. Let me get a Flory sponge. Here's a 400. There. And get those situated. And I think they'll look really nice in there. I'll get those situated. We'll get everything primed, and then we'll start looking at getting those installed. The thing about it, of course, is you know, you can most likely the smart thing to do here is to get all of these painted in the insignia white before I start drilling down on everything. But anyway, we'll figure that out because of seams, but not your problem. The Tydirium shuttle, or Shuttle Tydirium in Return of the Jedi, was on screen for a few minutes in total. And it's interesting because there are several of the shots, effect shots, where most likely it's a digital rendering, not a model, and there's no light on it at all. And then there are there seems to be a sort of flight mode where when the wings are down and the fin is up and it's flying, they're flashing and they're white. When it is coming into land and all the wings collapse up, the flashing stops and they become solid white. But there is lights flashing underneath. Now they are white. I'm going to make mine blue. Why? Because I can. So I've got a couple of my flashes here in the Pico. Here they are. And I'll show you these. Really nice. And, you know, again, in keeping with the scale. So there's two of those. And I'm going to put those here because this is as close as I can get to what where I think they are on the ship. And we're going to most likely have ours coming into land. I don't know. If they are, then these wheel bays will be open. But I'm hoping that just from a height perspective, I'm thinking that we'll probably be quite high off the actual stand deliberately, so that we can actually enjoy some of the undercarriage, because otherwise you just don't see it. If it's in the landing position and it's sitting on something, you don't see it. Now, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I've been getting a black primer on here, and then I hit this. I dusted this with a little of the insignia, and that, you can start to see the shadows. But I got a few bottles of my insignia white on the table so that we can start hitting this. So I need to get all the lights installed, and I'm only going to do the front of the model. There's just 3 tips. They are also in the back. I may do that if my Evans order comes in. I've placed an order with Evans, and I'm hoping that comes. If it comes in the next few days, then we'll definitely put it in the ship. But I think as you can see here, you can start to put this together, and it starts to look really cool. So I have to clean that up just a little bit, but they'll sit here, and then my wingtips will be on either side like this, and it starts to look like the shuttle. Really cool. We've done a lot. I think that's an awful lot for this update. I'm going to be a little mindful of time. And I'd like to slow down a little bit, and take my time a little bit with this, because it's going to be an awful lot of fun to paint this and get it all weathered correctly, because there's an opportunity here to really get some weathering, and we may even do that with the oils. Okay, so I have a lighting plan that I'm super happy with. I've got everything where I want it to be. And so I think that's where we'll call it for this update. In the next update, we'll obviously finish the ship. We don't need more than a couple, but I think we'll definitely have it together. We'll have all our lights. We'll work on getting our lights installed. They won't be installed, but we'll get them installed in the next update. And I think also we'll work on the weathering, and then hopefully at that point, I'll have my base all situated, and we can look at the base, and the thing will all start to come together. Really happy I'm doing this. It's a good looking ship. There's a couple of 3D printed versions of this out here. I may pick one up and do that as well, just to see the difference of scale and detail and that sort of thing. You can never have enough Tydirium shuttles in my book. So this is one of those models where I definitely would like to do more than one. Okay. Thank you for putting up with me and coming along on my journey. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for all of your comments, of course, as well. They really feed me, and I greatly appreciate them. If you want to reach out to me, I'm spruverse@gmail.com. You can follow my In the Weeds posts on Instagram. I'm usually posting every day. And once in a while, I'm on Threads. And of course TikTok. So there you go. That's about as social media as I'm going to get, guys. If you like my content, please don't forget to click that thumbs up, like, and of course subscribe to the channel. I know a lot of you, there's like 45% of my viewers are just not clicking subscribe, and some of them are not clicking thumbs up, but they're watching. I don't know. What can I tell you? Come on, play along. I really appreciate it. But as always, I wish all of you, please, be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you on the next update of the Shuttle Tydirium. Take care, everybody. Be well.